Hey guys, Mark here from My Property and Sean from Builders Brisbane. So we're here at a property that we actually bought for a client in 2021. We bought it, this one here is a corner block, and we paid $330 for it. And it's actually come a long way since then. So we've actually midway through the granny flat build, which Sean has been working on there. So we'll go take a look at that. But we can see what we've done here. $330 for that one. It's currently rented for I think about $600 or $650 because it's got 2 kitchens, 2 bathrooms. You can see it's an older type home that's very common around the area here. But let's go take a look at the granny flat. So Sean, the granny flat here, give us some numbers in terms of what it costs to build something like this, or even this particular one.
So something like this, $230,000 all inclusive, full turnkey. So you're talking all of your preliminaries, your planning, your building approvals, things like your blinds, your letterbox, your clothesline, as well as the actual house itself. You know, all the flooring, aircon, the entire kit and caboodle. So that's all inclusive. Which is really
what about things like driveways and landscaping? Is that an extra? And it depends on obviously what people want to do with the driveway, whether it's gravel or cement.
A level of landscaping involved in a specific contract, like this specific design. This is the Simon design that we have. It's 70 square meters internally, 2 bed, 1 large bathroom. Really great for like young families or just a couple. We've got the kitchen inside with the breakfast bar, and it's a full-size kitchen, so it's really great. It's just a smaller version of a home. Something like this, generally speaking, your base costs are around the 200-ish mark, maybe 205, but then you can add things onto that, right? So maybe your existing house needs to have, you know, maybe the meter board upgraded because it's not happened in a while. We've got to connect the electricity. So there's a few things that might be
and other people also want to do different things with cladding. And
they might want to do brick instead of the cladding. They might want to, you know, have a flat ceiling out here. They might want to extend the patio and make it wider. There's a whole range of things you can do.
But that's good. It gives us that sort of base to sort of work from anyway. So let's go take a look inside in a minute. But this property here would rent for I think around that sort of $500 per week, give or take, you know, but roughly about $500 per week. The one over there, the original one, we said was renting for $600 or $650, I think. I can't quite remember. So you can see you've got a great income by.
Let's do the quick maths, right? 500 a week times 52 divided by what? The 230,000. Would you look at that? 11.3% ROI.
Crazy, eh?
So it's like just a classic result of like those are the numbers that we're talking about for granny flats like this. And we go on like these seminars, and I've been on these seminars with you as well. And we talk to clients. And they say, what can we sort of expect? And no matter what's happened, like all the way through from 2012 all the way through to 2026, that 11 to 12% mark has been a very consistent number that we've seen in terms of the return on investment. So that's sort of, you know, been maintained. So the magic for this property in particular was in the buying. And you've got a very specific story and a very specific message for a very specific someone. Apparently you were telling me earlier. No, I'm not going to put you on the spot.
I can. I won't be as harsh. But yeah, we actually bought this one directly off a seller. There's a corner block. I was actually telling the seller, who is a friend of mine, good friend of mine, don't sell it, don't sell it, don't sell it. Ultimately, they chose to do that. They had some other plans. They did sell the property. The house itself, like I said, we picked it up for $330, even without the granny flat, the corner block like this. Again, you know, we'd be sitting around that sort of $950 for something like this, just by itself. There's not much, a great corner block where you can do something with it. So, I mean, it's had a fair bit of growth in there since, but then our client, the investor, bought this property, added the granny flat, and really just boosted that income up quite substantially. So it was the ultimate plan with this property was to do exactly this. So it's really great in that sort of 5-year period that we're actually seeing it come to fruition.
This property is actually sort of like that counterbalance or that counter thesis to what I was talking about at Belong Street, where at Belong it was all about the dual occupancy, capital growth supported by you know, the rental yield from the property,
Yeah.
but a bit more of a spend,
Yeah.
a bit less of a return on investment in terms of the dollars per week coming in,
Yeah.
but the capital growth.
Capital
More than
growth,
justified it.
and I would also add to that flexibility in being able to sell off one of them
That's right.
and keep one. So you could
Yeah.
sell off the old one,
That's right.
just keep the new one,
Yep.
or vice versa.
Flexibility on the exit, that's also great. You get greater depreciation, obviously, because the build spend is higher.
Yeah.
So things like that. This is on the other side of that. This is the cash flow play, right?
Yes.
11.3% return on investment. There are not many places where you can say, hey, I've got a place that is property, that is residential property
Yes.
in blue chip area that is going to be north of 10% return on investment.
Yeah.
And a play like this is exactly that. So it's very rare, but it's awesome. And this sort of strategy is something that can play into your larger portfolio if you're an investor, or if you just want to do like 1 or 2 properties. This is a fantastic version of that. And yeah, 2-bedroom granny flat. It's perfect for
Very
you know
rentable.
young family. Maybe they've got 1 child. They're saving up to go into their own home. That
Couple,
sort of thing.
even single person,
Couple,
like
people
it's
downsizing. Yeah.
anybody in that affordable space, they get snapped up so quick because they're in great condition. They're brand new, obviously.
Yeah.
It's not like renting an old townhouse that's, you know, getting to be 40 years old with the original 40-year-old kitchen and bathroom, tiles
yeah.
falling off. It's, so get snapped up so quick,
Yeah.
a lot of demand.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, well, let's take a look inside. Now we have stepped inside to the living area. Alice is standing with her camera in the dining space. But you can see the kitchen. This is what we were talking about earlier, right? Overhead cupboards, fridge space, plenty of space in here. Things like pantry or dry storage. Again, we talk about that the Costco pantry, the Costco cupboard. So
Yep.
you can like load this up. It's insane. But it's a full-size kitchen, right? You can have 2 or 3 people working in here very comfortably. You got the breakfast bar on the far side.
And I think that's a key point of difference. And that's why I really love working with you guys and have for so many years.
Yeah.
Is because it's not just let's do it as cheaply as possible. Let's do it so there's 2 bedrooms, there's a kitchen.
Yeah.
It's actually what's gone into it is actually a lot of thought on the rentability and livability,
Yeah.
which is so critical as an investor as well. And people think, okay, well, I'll just go with the cheaper option. But I've been through those properties where they've got like a kitchenette. It's quite small. There's nothing to it. The kitchenette's like literally in the lounge room, so it's like next to where the TV would be or something ridiculous. And they're just terrible designs. And the issue that we have with that is, as investors, is we want tenants to stay in a property long term. We don't want to have that high turnover of tenant.
Yeah.
So when we design, or when you design something that looks and feels like a home, people stay longer. They don't want to just go, oh, it's just temporary accommodation, or I'm only here 6 months, I'll be gone, until I get something better.
Yeah.
They also treat it a lot better as well because it feels like their home.
Yeah.
And of course, you get a bit better rent too.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So there is definitely a level to which you can overspend, and we're very cognizant of that fact. Like,
Yes.
As builders, as a property developer yourself,
Well, I mean,
you see that.
compared to those cheaper builds, you're actually pretty well on par, maybe just slightly.
Something like this is about $5,000 more expensive.
Yes.
Or
But
right
the-
around that mark.
But the value that
is
you get
huge.
for that in terms of how much better it is,
Yep.
is substantial.
And that's what we found, right? There's very much a sweet spot. Like these houses are designed just like normal houses.
Yeah.
So you don't have this sort of like weird flat pack ceiling and with all the lines and the gaps in them. It's a full proper plasterboard ceiling with insulation and a colorbond roof.
And it's a real floor. It's not like it's not
From
like
real suppliers, right? We're
Yeah,
talking about Imperial Kitchens. They're massive local supplier up here. We've got like carpet core flooring and Dulux paint and Hisense AC units and like
because
all this stuff is very important.
we've got clients who have gone a cheaper option.
Yeah,
They've gone their own path. They've gone, I've found this mob. They'll do it, whatever the price is. And we manage those properties as well. Tony and Cass and the team and Ash manage those properties. And we find that after a while that things just start to, you get the wear and tear. Like the binding comes off the
Yeah.
kitchen, the floor starts to delaminate.
Yeah.
You know, it's just all cheap and nasty, and the layout's crap, and they're harder to rent. So.
Yeah, that is true. It is true.
So it's actually not the best option. It's actually a more expensive option in the long run.
It is on the long run. And so for us, we're thinking about, because it's property, we're thinking at least a 10 to 15 year horizon at a minimum, at a bare minimum, right? And so, you know, we're building many of these properties for people who are preparing for retirement, people who are preparing to maybe leave the workforce for whatever reason, like maybe they're going to have another child or something like that, and they want to have that level of income to support them. Do you want that income to be, you know, got this question mark over it all the time, or do you want something where you can really choose?
Yeah, you got this income. Oh, I got to do some more maintenance on that. I've got to do some more maintenance because I try to go slightly cheaper.
And it's just a headache.
And like you said, you're actually not that much more than some of those very cheap budget inferior stuff.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, this is a setup. It's one of our tried and tested sort of floor plans. And so I think a lot of people who have seen some of these videos before, they will be very familiar with this, right?
They'll know the Simon.
They know the Simon, the large living area, kitchen, dining. Come through here, we've got storage here, storage around the corner here. 2 large bedrooms, well, for a granny flat at least. Yeah. 3.3 by about 3 point something.
Definitely plenty of room for like a double bed or
for a queen size bed. So these are designed to have queen size beds in them. Yeah. You can fit a king size bed. Wouldn't really bother with that, but a lot of people, you know, we've seen a lot of tenants, it's just a couple, and they'll have 1 bedroom and then they'll use the other as a study. Yeah. We have the internal switchboard, which I think is great. If, you know, the power goes out in the middle of the night, whatever, you plug in that new bread maker, something goes wrong. Huge bathroom. This is something that Alice can film later in B-roll, but we've got an actual full-size bath, toilet, large shower, vanity unit. There's a space in here as well for, you know, washer dryer combos and all that sort of stuff.
Thanks, Sean, for getting us through this one this morning. It was great to see the comparison between the one at Belong, which is the dual occupancy, and this one being the granny flat. Yeah. We'll come, like this is almost, well, this is pretty much done, really, just a few minor things to do, but it was really great to see the results on both and like I said, them coming to fruition and the clients being...
Yeah. I mean, we've got to obviously paint the outside. Got a bunch of cleaning to do in here, maybe a bit of a plumbing fit off and a few other bits and bobs.
Not quite move-in ready, but almost there.
We're about a week and a half away, I'd say. Yeah. And so, yeah, I think this is like another really good example of the thesis that we've had ever since we started working together, right? Which is like 2012. Yeah. And that is the fact that the granny flats work, they're in demand, you build them well, you have tenants that are in here for the long term, they treat it well, and over time, the rental yield increases. Sometimes it's flat for a little while and then it jumps, but as long as you've got your property and it's cash flow positive, you've got
to do it the right way, right? Yeah. And I mean, and like you said, you've got to build it, do all that sort of stuff that you said, build it the right way. Yeah. And you've got to choose the right property, which we've discussed before. We've seen so many that have been done so badly, where the granny flat's just like really smushed up against the main house, and there's like this common area, and so it's so important to get the right separation and layout and the right block, with this one being ideal because it's a corner block like Belong was as well, also a corner block. But you can do it on a standard block, of course, as well, and have that side access. But you've got to have it well spaced. Can't just walk down beside the main house and park out the front or something.
Yeah. So something like this is a really good example of just a granny flat, I think, done well, and happy days.
Excellent.
No worries.
Catch us on the next videos.